Welcome to another exciting educational video brought to you by Vision Concepts Academy. So in today's lesson, we'll be looking at past WAEC Maths questions on coordinate geometry. Here we'll be solving questions that pertain to coordinate geometry that has appeared in WAEC. So if you're new to our channel, sit tight and also subscribe to get exciting videos from Vision Concept Academy. So we'll dive into the questions. I have this question on the screen. It says, the distance between 2 points. Find the distance between point A with coordinates 2 and 3 and point B with coordinates 6 and 6. First of all, I'm going to tell you more about coordinates, the concept of coordinates. Coordinates are actually reference points on the Cartesian plane. So you have this Cartesian plane where you have the positive y-axis, and negative y-axis, and the positive x-axis and negative x-axis. Right. So every point from this center is described on this Cartesian plane. So if I have a point like A from this question now, A is a point here, and it is referenced as 2 and 3. What it means is that the x-coordinate of A is 2, meaning that if I draw an imaginary line to the x-axis, I will be reading 2. And also, if I draw a imaginary line from the dot to the y-axis, I'll be reading 3. So this point 2 and 3 is defining the point A, right, on the Cartesian plane. So the first value here represents the x reading. The second value here represents the y reading. So that is how this is represented. In the same vein, I have 6 and 6. So I would still extend this, and let's say this point is 6.6 on the x-axis, and up here 0.6 on the y-axis. So if I draw a continuous line, where they meet is defined as point B, which is 6 and 6. So that's just a little concept to understand coordinate geometry. So, but we're asked to find the distance between the 2 points. So if I draw the line between here and here, I look for the distance between 2 points. So the formula is giving us distance D is equals to big square root of x2 minus x1 all square plus y2 minus y1 all square. Okay, so the first thing we'll do here from here is to identify what is x1, what is x2. So this first one, I have x in this first one and it's x1 and y1. So for the point B, I have x2 and y2. Okay, so it means that x1 for point A is 2, y1 is 3, okay, then x2 is 6, and y2 is 6. So if we put everything in this formula, we're going to be getting D is equals to square root, I'll open the bracket, x2 is 6 minus x1 is 2 all square, plus then y2 is 6, then minus y1 is 3 all square, right? So 6 minus 2 here is 4 all square, plus 6 minus 3 here is 3 all square, then square roots. This is the distance, right? So this translates to distance is equals to square root 4 square is 16 and 3 square is 9. So D is equals to square root of 25 and square root of 25 is 5. So the answer is 5 units because we are measuring in units. 5 units. The distance between these 2 points, A and B, is 5 units. Okay, so number 2, it says find the midpoint of the line joining A defined by 2 and 3 and B defined by 6 and 7. So from the first thing you do always when you are given coordinates like this, identify the values of x and y of each of them. And the first one is the x1, y1. The second set is the x2, y2. Okay, so from here, A 2, 3, x1, y1, then B 6, 7, x2, y2. So there's a formula for midpoint. Formula is m is equals to x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus x and y2 over 2. So the midpoint is actually a set of numbers, coordinates. So this is the x of the midpoint and this is the y of the midpoint. So there's a formula defining the two of them. So I'm going to quickly put what I have in x. So this is x1 and this is x2. From here, x1 is 2 and the x2 is 6, right? So that's why I have 2 plus 6 here over 2. And the y1 is 3 and the y2 is 7. So I have 3 plus 7 here, give me over 2. So 2 plus 6 over 2. 2 plus 6 is 8. 8 over 2 is 4. The first value, I've gotten the first value of the midpoint. And the 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 over 2 is 5. This is the second value of the midpoint. So just know this formula. This formula is what is used to get midpoint of 2 points. And the midpoint actually is also another coordinate. All right. So the third question is gradients. Now you have two points again. This point is defined by 1 and 2. So the x1 of this is 1, is x1, and this is y1. So first of all, always identify which one is x1 and y1. Then the second set is x2 and the y2. So you see that x1 maps to 1, y1 maps to 2, x2 maps to 5, and y2 maps to 10. You can write it down. x1 is equals to 1, y1 is equals to 2, then x2 is equals to 5, and the y2 is equals to 10. Always have that in mind when you are doing that. So what is the formula for gradient? Formula is m, which is the gradient, is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we'll put everything here in this formula. Get like the gradient. M is equals to y2 is 10. Y2 is 10. Okay, y2 is 10 minus y1 is 2 all over x2 is 5. X2 is 5 and y1 is 2. So I have 10 minus 2 is 8 and 5 minus 2 is 3. So 3 over 8 is the midpoint of, is the gradient of this particular set of coordinates. Okay, so sorry, x1 is 1, so it's 8 over 4, and 8 over 4 is 4 here 1, 4 here 2. That's what I'm having 2 here, right? Okay, so look at it, just follow it from here. So equation of a line. Question here says find the equation of a line with gradient 3 and y intercepts 2. Find the equation of a line with gradient 3 and y intercepts 2. Okay, so let's see. This is a straight line, for instance. Straight line, for instance. Okay, so this does not really define what. Okay, what is a gradient? Gradient is the difference is known as a slope. If I have a straight line like this, gradient is actually the change, the ratio between the change in the y axis and the change in the x axis. So gradient m is equals to change in y axis over change in x axis. That is gradient, right? So the change means that I'm going to look for the two the distance between this point and this point, the difference, the distance between this point and this point, and for y, and for x, the distance between this point and this point, right? Now, but this equation intercept means um, the value that the value of the line, uh, the coordinate at the, I mean, the points on the Cartesian plane where the line is meeting or cutting it. So if they say that intercept is 2 at the y-axis, so it means that where this cuts the y-axis is 2. So let's say this is the y-axis, for instance. So where this line cuts the y-axis is 2. The 2 is positive. You know, you have the positive side of the y and negative side of the y. The positive side as the upper side, that's also positive y and negative y here, right? Okay, so if I would redraw this again, if I draw my Cartesian plane like this is the y, this is the x, understand? Where here is the positive side and here is the negative side, right? So here is positive x and here is negative x. So the line in question is cutting this at the positive. So if it's cutting here, so let's say this place is 2. So where we have 2 here, this is the intercept, right? Now, the equation of a line is y is equals to mx plus c, where m is the gradient, c is the intercept. So I will just put in those values. Y is equals to gradient is 3x plus intercept. Intercept is 2. So this is simply the equation of this particular question. Y is equals to 3x plus c. So this question is testing you on whether you know the equation of a line and the definition of parameters gradient and parameter intercept. What is gradient in that equation? In that equation, gradient is m. Equation of a line, gradient is m. Intercept is c. Okay. So the next question, it says find the distance between two lines. Okay, so distance between horizontal line, that's the title of this topic. So say find distance between two lines. So this one again, we know that distance is uh uh just is d is equals to square root of x square minus y square. Sorry, x2 x2 minus x1 all square plus y2 minus y1 all square, right? So that's the distance between. But you know, because this y1, if I have 2 and 5 coordinates, and I have 8 and 5 coordinates, for the y coordinates to be the same means that the x the line is running in a horizontal uh, plane. Why? Because the y part is constant. So if I were to put this on the Cartesian plane, just watch. This is the Cartesian plane. So the first point, 2 and 5, 2 and 5. The first point is 2 and 5. So I have uh 2 here. I have 2 here. What is the 2? Okay, this is 2 and 5. And this is the point here. Then the second one is 8 and 5. So this is 8 here and 5 here. So you see that these 2 points is horizontal. The y is not changing, but the x is changing. So the distance between these 2 points is 8 minus 2 will give me 6 units. All right. So I hope this video has been fruitful for you. I'd like to thank you for viewing. See you in the next class. Have a lovely day.